A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. We are on Surah Muhammad and I am going to start from ayat number 13 now. And how many a city was stronger than your city, that is Makkah, which drove you out, we destroyed them, and there was no helper for them. So is he who is on clear evidence from his master, like him to whom the evil of his work has been made attractive, and they follow their own desires. Meaning, the work has been made attractive. What do we mean by work made attractive to them? For example, I'll give you a little example. For example, smoking. Smoking, everybody knows, is injurious to health. But why is it that that person cannot give up smoking? Alcohol. We all know that it is haram. We all know that it has bad influence on the health, spiritually and physically. But why is it that the people cannot give up alcohol? Now, one, it is following your desire. Number two, you don't think there's anything wrong with it. This is what you think is attracting. Why? Because you don't find anything wrong. For example, if you see a snake, or if you see a centipede or a scorpio or a lizard, I'm not talking about those people who love such reptiles, but I'm talking in general, would you go and pick it up? You are not going to pick it up in the first instance. Why? Because you're going to fear him and you will stay away. Take another example. You see filth lying around. Are you going to go and pick it up? You are not going to pick it up. Why? Because it's filth, right? But something which has been packed beautifully, although it is something which is harmful, but the harm is hidden, you can't really see it. Are you still going to go and take it? Yes, you are going to take it, because you can't see the harm apparently, it is hidden within. But every cigarette says cigarette is injurious to health, but still people go and buy it. Because they can't see, because it's just a little paper which has got a little tobacco, it's packed in a wrapper, you can't see the harm on top of it. Similarly, alcohol placed in a beautiful bottle, the color is beautiful and you don't see the harm. So here, this is what makes it attractive. Similarly, take on to the marketing side, where people come out with advertisements. Even they know that the thing that they are promoting has harmful effects, but the presentation is so beautiful that you get attracted to it, right? So when you get attracted to something, there comes in the desire, so you get attracted. Minus the desire, nobody has a desire to touch a snake, so then there is no attraction also. So with desire comes attraction. Similarly, if you're going to talk about similar like-minded companies, you like when they are playing cards. People sit and gamble for hours and hours and hours. They can put their whole house at stake, but they love. Why? Because now that's a desire. They've got attracted to it and they don't find it wrong, because they have money to burn. So they don't think it is wrong. So here Allah says, to whom the evil of his work has been made attractive. And who has made it attractive? Shaitan has made it attractive for them. Oh, it's just 1 hour and we'll be back home. You can say your namaz, you can watch, you can take care of your children, you've called them, you've found out that everybody's fine at home, no problem, all the requirements have been fulfilled. At times people give the best of luxury to their children so that they don't question what the parents are doing outside. They will lock the children at home, leave them with the maids, they will go out and do partying, come back late nights, and don't realize that what are they getting attracted to, but that's falling for desires. So here Allah says that someone who's on a clear evidence by his Lord, Allah has mentioned the things to do and not to do, and he is going to stick to them. So what is the comparison? You can't compare both the states then. Masalul jannati allati wu'ida al-muttaqoon is the description of paradise which the righteous are promised, wherein are rivers of water unaltered, rivers of milk the taste of which never changes, rivers of wine delicious to those who drink, which is not intoxicated, and rivers of purified honey in which they will have from all kinds of fruits and forgiveness from their Lord. Are its inhabitants like those who abide eternally in the fire and are given to drink scalding water that will sever their intestines? What is the comparison? No comparison. And among them, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, are those who listen to you until when they depart from you, they say to those who were given knowledge, what has he just said now? Those are the ones of whom Allah has sealed over their hearts and who have followed their own desire. This is referring to the hypocrites. When they used to be in the majlis of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because they were not interested, but they were just sitting there like ducks, they would listen, but when they used to come out, then they used to ask the Sahaba, what was he saying? What did he mean by this? Oh, I didn't understand this point. Can you explain this to me? Just to show. But Allah says what? The seal. Their hearts have been sealed. They will never understand what is being said. But again, there is a lesson for us here also. That when we are in such a majlis of Quran or Hadith or the zikr of Allah, then we need to see what is my behavior. Am I really into it? Or am I? So we need to learn a lesson from here, that the hypocrites were never attentive. Why? Because Allah had sealed their hearts. May Allah never seal our hearts. May Allah always give us the tawfiq to, when we are in such a majlis, that we are able to understand what is being said. And those who are guided, He increases them in guidance and gives them righteousness. Then do they await, except that the hour should come upon them unexpectedly, but already there have come some of its indications. Then how to them, when it has come, will be their remembrance. So know, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that there is no deity except Allah, and ask forgiveness for your sin and for the believing men and believing women, and Allah knows of your movement and your resting place, meaning everybody knows where they are finally going to end. Allah knows that. Those who believe say, why has a surah not been sent down? But when a precise surah is revealed and battle is mentioned therein, you see those in whose hearts is a disease looking at you with the look of one overcome by death, and more appropriate for them would have been obedience and good words had they then. Now, initially when the ayats for ghazwas were not revealed, for in the case of Ghazwa Badr, then they would say, okay, why is Allah not allowing us to go and fight back the mushrikeen? Now when the surah comes that, okay, now you are allowed to go and fight, Allah says, then the hypocrites would never want to come forward. And this is the disease in their hearts, that they were too inclined towards the dunya, and then when the time came for sacrifices, then they wanted to run away. And Allah said that more appropriate for them would have been obedience and good words. And when the matter of fighting was determined, if they had been true to Allah, it would have been better for them. But they were never true in their intentions for Allah. So would you perhaps, if you turned away, cause corruption on earth and sever your ties of relationship? Those who do so are the ones that Allah has cursed, so He deafened them and blinded their vision. Then do they not reflect upon the Quran, or are there locks upon their hearts? Meaning, am ala qulubin afqaluha. And for this we need to take a lesson from here. Afala yatadabbaruna al-Qur'ana. Do they not reflect upon the Quran? So what is the lesson here for us in this ayat? That whenever you are reading the Quran, that means we need to see, are we trying to reflect, in the sense, are we trying to understand the words on their own? Because some words are grammatically to be understood, some words have to be understood from the background of the text, some words may carry double meaning, so we have to understand in which context it is mentioned over here. Similarly, we need to understand the tafsir of the ayats. And the Quran, like we have just seen, mentions the same topic in different ways, in different parts of the Quran it has come. So we cannot pick up from one part and conclude, أَفَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِبَعْضِ الْكِتَابِ وَتَكْفُرُونَ بِبَعْضٍ. Do you believe in some parts of the book and you deny in some parts of the book? No. So what you have to do is that you have to take the entire series of the topic, then we have to come to a conclusion, and then we have to come to the, in fact we have to come to the point of what was meant by this entire topic. We can't take selected ayats related to any topic. And similarly, meanings of the verses, and sometimes the same thing is mentioned here but in a different reference of words and context, but the same thing has been mentioned with a different context and word. So we need to understand everything. So Allah says, are they not going to reflect upon the Quran, or there are locks upon their heart? What do you mean lock upon the heart? If there is a lock, that means you can't open it. And if you can't open it, meaning you can't put anything inside. That means nothing is going inside. So there is no reflection also. May Allah save us from such an act where there is nothing that goes inside the heart. May Allah give us the tawfiq that we are able to reflect and understand and then act upon it. Indeed, those who reverted back to disbelief after guidance have become clear to them. Satan enticed them and prolonged hope for them. Hope that Allah is Ghafoorur Rahim, is going to forgive you even if you don't do anything right. That is because they said to those who disliked what Allah has sent down, we will obey you in part of the matter, and Allah knows what they conceal, referring to the hypocrites again. Then how will it be when the angels take them in death, striking their faces and their backs? That is because they followed what angered Allah and disliked what earns His pleasure, so He rendered worthless their deeds. This is why, because their deeds got wasted. Now when the angels of death came to take them, they were smiting, they were striking their faces and their backs. Just now we discussed regarding people who don't believe in the azab-e-qabr. What is this referring to then? This here you can clearly say, Allah says, when the angels take them in death, striking their faces and their backs. So Quran has given us clear evidences of what one can face even at the time of death. Or do those in whose hearts is disease think that Allah would never expose, that is, their feelings of hatred? And if we willed, we could show them to you, and you would know them by their mark. And this is the miracle of the Quran, that Quran has opened the feelings of the hypocrites, and Quran has expressed it in detail. But you will surely know them by the tone of their speech, and Allah knows your deeds. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ حَتَّى نَعْلَمَ الْمُجَاهِدِينَ مِنْكُمْ وَالصَّابِرِينَ وَنَبْلُوَ أَخْبَارَكُمْ. And we will surely test you until we make evident those who strive among you, that is for the cause of Allah, and the patient, and we will test your affairs. Indeed, those who disbelieve and averted people from the path of Allah and oppose the messenger after guidance had come to them clearly, never will they harm Allah at all, and He will render worthless their deeds. These were just trials to check people whether they are going to follow the messenger or not. And if they don't, then the good deeds that they are doing will also go wasted. And those who come clean in the test, Allah is going to reward them. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu atiullaha wa atiur rasula wa la tubtilu amalakum. O you who have believed, now that you say you believe in Allah, His messengers, prophets, books, angels, resurrection, taqdeer, Allah says, obey Allah and obey the messenger. And do not invalidate your deeds. Don't waste your deeds by then averting away. Indeed, those who disbelieve, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا وَصَدُّوا عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ ثُمَّ مَاتُوا وَهُمْ كُفَّارٌ فَلَنْ يَغْفِرَ اللَّهُ لَهُمْ. Indeed, those who disbelieve and averted people from the path of Allah and then died while they were disbelievers, never will Allah forgive them. And may Allah save from such an end. That one, kufr, denying. Number two, stopping others. Number three, die on the same act. Then Allah says that they are not going to be forgiven. But keeping in mind that the doors for forgiveness are always open till before we see the angels of death. So do not weaken and call for peace while you are superior, and Allah is with you and will never deprive you of the reward of your deeds. Innamal hayatud dunya la'ibun wa lah. This worldly life is only amusement and diversion. Wa in tu'minu, and if you believe, wa tattaqu, and fear Allah, tu'tikum ujurakum wa la yas'alkum amwalakum. He will give you your rewards and not ask you for your properties. Allah doesn't need our wealth. He needs what? He needs our amal. That's it. He doesn't want to look at our faces. He does not want to look at our wealth. All He says is, I want to look at two things: your intentions and your amal. If he should ask you for them and press you, you would withhold, and he would expose your hatred. Meaning your love for wealth, if he would have asked, then Allah would have shown how much people love wealth, and they would not have been able to give. Here you are, those invited to spend in the cause of Allah, but among you are those who withhold, meaning they become stingy in spending in the way of Allah. And whoever withholds only withholds benefit from himself, meaning what he could have deserved, what he could have been rewarded, he didn't want to take the reward, so he becomes stingy. And Allah is the free of need, meaning Allah, whenever we do sadaqah, that sadaqah doesn't help Allah. Allah doesn't need. We are muhtaj. We are in there for help, asking for help. Allah doesn't need. Allahu ghani. He is ghani, he doesn't need. But he says, while you are the needy. Needy of what? One, of course, physical things, and secondly, we are in need of these rewards. That is also one of our greatest needs. Why do we need rewards? Because the higher our scale is going to be in Qiyamah, the heavier the scale of rewards is going to be in Qiyamah with the deeds, the good deeds. So when there will be good deeds, there is going to be higher rewards. And if this is heavier, then this guarantees success. So Allah says, you are needy, you need wealth, and you need rewards. So spend it so that you can get it. And if you turn away, Allah says, وَإِن تَتَوَلَّوْا يَسْتَبْدِلْ قَوْمًا غَيْرَكُمْ. He will replace you with another nation, with another people. And what will happen? ثُمَّ لَا يَكُونُوا أَمْثَالَكُمْ. Then they are not going to be like you. Then they are going to be better people than you. Surah Al-Fath, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inna fatahna laka fathan mubina. Indeed, we have given you a clear conquest. What is this conquest referring to? This conquest, Surah Fath, as we know, was revealed after 6th Hijri. This is a Madani Surat. And after 6th Hijri, when it was revealed, this was the time when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had seen a dream, and in that dream he saw that he was accompanied by Sahabas and they were going to perform Umrah. But what happened was, when the Muslims, they reached Zul Hulaifa, there they camped, and then they put the garlands around the necks of their animals, of their camels. They had about 70 of them with them, in this hope that these were the animals that were reserved for sacrifice. But what happened was that the mushrikeen of Makkah, when they got to know that these Muslims are coming forward for Umrah, they stopped them. And at the point of Hudaybiyah, there was a treaty that was signed between the mushrikeen of Makkah and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and his Sahabas. And according to that treaty, some of the points, if you go into Seerah, you will get the details, but basically Muslims were told that they are not going to come and perform Umrah this year, but they can come and perform Umrah the following year. And then there were certain terms and conditions in which, when they were settled, it seemed like there were more favors in the treaty that were given to the mushrikeen, and Muslims were completely at a loss. Meaning, for if any Muslim who runs away from Makkah and he comes to Medina, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam will have to return that person to Makkah. He cannot run away from there. Meaning, for example, if anybody who wanted to come to Islam, revert to Islam, and he escaped from Makkah and he comes to Medina, then you will have to return him. And while this treaty was being signed, we see that there was a Sahabi in such a state who had been caught and then he was brought. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had to return it. Why? Because the treaty was being written at that time. And many Sahaba said that, well, it has not been written completely. But Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was a man of his words, and that Sahabi was sent. And if you will go into Seerah, you will get to know that that same Sahabi later on became an asset for the Muslims, because then he changed his course of path, and this is that from that given point he used to hunt down the mushrikeen, and then finally he was told to join in the Muslims. Then on the other hand, any Muslim who come back to Makkah, they said that we are not going to return him. And for the next 10 years it was decided that there is going to be no battle, no fighting between the mushrikeens and the Muslims. Now, just because the Muslims were stopped from coming to Makkah, and that was in a way very humiliating, and Sahabas like Hazrat Umar and other Sahabas, they all felt that how can this treaty of Hudaybiyah be termed as a victory. Allah says, Inna fatahna laka fathan mubina. We have given you a clear conquest. Now, so they couldn't understand this fact that how is this a clear conquest, whereas we have been denied of a lot of things. لِيَغْفِرَ لَكَ اللَّهُ مَا تَقَدَّمَ مِنْ ذَنْبِكَ وَمَا تَأَخَّرَ, that Allah may forgive for you what preceded of your sin, and that will follow and complete His favor upon you and guide you to a straight path. وَيَنْصُرَكَ اللَّهُ نَصْرًا عَزِيزًا, and that Allah may aid you with a mighty victory. Now, as we go along, inshallah, we are going to clear the different points that will come up. It is He who sent down tranquility into the hearts of the believers that they would increase in faith along with their present faith, and to Allah belong the soldiers of the heavens and the earth, and ever is Allah knowing the wise, and that He may admit the believing men and the believing women to gardens beneath which rivers flow, to abide therein eternally and move from them their misdeeds. And ever is that in the sight of Allah a great attainment. Now, meaning that tests, why do they come? They come so that the faith is strengthened. This happens in the case of the believers, that when a test comes, they know that this is the time Allah is going to check my actions. What do I do? How do I behave? So finally what happens is that helps them motivate the faith to the extent that Allah raises them in their ranks and their degrees also. So Allah says that in this way the men and the women are then tried and tested, and for them again, if they succeed in their test, then for this Allah says for them becomes a great attainment. But on the other hand, some people are going to fail it, and that He may punish the hypocrite men and hypocrite women, and the polytheist men and the polytheist women, those who assume about Allah an assumption of evil nature. Because when a test came like this, where even the Sahabas got jolted and they realized that, how can this be a conquest? How is this a victory? We have lost. The Treaty of Hudaybiyah was a very, very sad for the Muslims to realize. But Allah says by this, He wanted to eliminate the mushrik, and those people who would come up with doubts would definitely then turn away. But here we see that finally the believers, even though they were thinking, they were having doubts, but later on it so happened that everything that was written down in this treaty turned out to be in favor of the Muslims, and then they started realizing that contract was, yes, Allah had already predicted that this is going to turn out to be a victory for you. So upon them is a misfortune of evil nature, and Allah has become angry with them and has cursed them and prepared for them hell, and evil it is as a destination. So in this Sulh Hudaybiyah, Allah planned to eliminate the mushrikeen, and we will see that the next 10 years Muslims got an opportunity to do dawah. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was able to send this message far and wide through the help of the Sahabas. Now, instead of restricting the state just till Medina, Muslims started adding to the religion, and this helped Muslims become a complete force to the extent that finally by 8 Hijri we see, just after 2 years we see Muslims were able to take over Makkah. وَلِلَّهِ جُنُودُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَكَانَ اللَّهُ عَزِيزًا حَكِيمًا, and to Allah belong the soldiers of the heavens and the earth, and ever is Allah exalted in might and wise. Inna arsalnaka shahidan wa mubasharan wa nazira, indeed we have sent you as a witness and a bringer of good tidings and a warner, that you may believe in Allah and His messenger and honor Him and respect Him and exalt Him morning and afternoon. Meaning, for the believers, the respect and honor of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is something which will always remain on the top of the priorities. So Allah says, لِتُؤْمِنُوا بِاللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ وَتُعَزِّرُوهُ وَتُوَقِّرُوهُ وَتُسَبِّحُوا بُكْرَةً وَأَصِيلًا, that you people may believe in Allah and His messenger and honor Him and respect Him. Honor and respect who? Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And exalt Him, who? That is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When? During mornings and afternoons. Indeed, those who pledge allegiance to you, meaning to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they are actually pledging allegiance to Allah. This is referring to the Bait Rizwan. And at this point, at the point where the Sulh Hudaybiyah treaty was signed, Hazrat Usman radiallahu anhu was sent by Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a, you can say, as a delegate to the Quraysh in Makkah to go and discuss these points and why would they not let them do Umrah and then come to a conciliation. While he was in Makkah, a rumor was spread that Hazrat Usman radiallahu anha was killed. When this news reached the Sahaba and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam took a bayt under a tree with the Sahabas that if in case this is true that Usman radiallahu anhu is killed, because when you send a delegate and an official delegate and the murder of an official delegate becomes an official crime also, then we are going to go back and take a revenge or qisas in name, which would again be against the mushrikeen. So Allah says they were actually pledging allegiance to Allah, not to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam but to Allah. The hand of Allah is over their hands. So everybody came and they kept their hand on Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam's hand to take this allegiance. So Allah says Allah's hand was over it. So he who breaks his word only breaks it to the detriment of himself, and he who fulfills that which he has promised Allah, he will give him a great reward. Those who remain behind of the Bedouins will say to you, our properties and our families occupied us, so ask forgiveness for us. Because many a people stayed back from this Umrah. They say with their tongues what is not within their hearts. Say, then who could prevent Allah at all if He intended for you harm or intended for you benefit? Meaning, if you think that you were there to save your children and families and wives and homes, what if Allah intended wrong at that given point when you stayed back? How could you avert that? Rather, ever is Allah of what you do aware. But you thought that the messenger and the believers would never return to their families ever, and that was made pleasing in your hearts. Meaning, these people knew that the hypocrites, they knew that when the Muslims had left, the Sahabas only had one sword each. Why? Because in Ihram you were only allowed to carry one weapon. So the mushrikeen of the hypocrites of Medina, they realized that taking one weapon per Sahaba is not enough, because the mushrikeens will never let them enter Khane Kaaba, Makkah, and so they are going to end up in a battle or a fight with the mushrikeen, and finally they will get killed. So this is what they were assuming, that these people are never going to return. And so they were very happy that we will also get rid of them. And you assumed an assumption of evil and became a people ruined, And whoever has not believed in Allah and His Messenger, then indeed we have prepared for the disbelievers a blaze. And to Allah belongs the dominion of the heavens and the earth. He forgives whom He wills and punishes whom He wills. And ever is Allah forgiving, the merciful. Those who remain behind will say when you set out towards the war booty to take it, let us follow you. They wish to change the words of Allah. Say, never will you follow us. Thus did Allah say before. So they will say, rather you envy us. Meaning, they used to say this to the Sahabas when they would not take the hypocrites. You are not taking us is because you envy us. But in fact, they were not understanding except a little that Allah never wanted them to go. Say to those who remained behind of the Bedouins, you will be called to face a people of great military might. You may fight them or they will submit. So if you obey Allah, will give you a good reward. But if you turn away as you turned away before, He will punish you with a painful punishment. Meaning, don't worry, if this time you didn't make it, next time chances will come again. So if then you will obey Allah, He will reward you. But then if again you stay away just like you stayed away before, then Allah is going to punish you. We are going to take a short break here, and when I return, inshallah, we are going to start from ayat number 17.